And so what has happened is that a lot of my conversations have gotten shorter because in the past I would cut people off because they wouldn't having the right language. That's what it was. I'm learning that now.
Yeah.
First I was like, I'm cutting them off because they talk too much. And a lot of that was true, but it wasn't me articulating it so that for me to be like, hey, I want to preface this by saying, we got 3 minutes. I'm gonna speak for a minute, then I'm gonna pass it over to you. You speak for a minute, right? That's communication, and that's using the right language because we have something that we have to achieve. We're on a time frame. You prime everybody's mind doing that, right? Versus you have 10 minutes to speak. You speak for 7 minutes, but then when the other person starts speaking, they get 2 minutes. You're like, wait, we got to go to the next subject.
Yeah.
You see how different that feels?
Yeah.
That's all language and communication.
And we are back with another episode of FYM with Ty and Yo. My man Ty right here. This is Yo. You know, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, share with somebody that needs to hear this ignorant conversation about wellness.
Comment in the
oh yeah, leave us a comment.
Some comments.
Ty, do you want to introduce?
We're trying to be more censored with FYM.
Yeah,
we want some money.
We do want some money. Now, if you know what the F stands for, you know what we here for.
Yeah,
we trying to get you some,
and it ain't fitness.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But YouTube, they want to be more child friendly. So for the kids, it's FYM. Now Ty, where are we?
We're in New York City.
In New York
Brooklyn
City.
specifically.
Okay, Brooklyn. And I love coming to New York with Ty because I always feel like I see an interesting side of New York when I hang out with you. And today you've already had such an amazing experience that inspired our episode. Can you please introduce today's topic?
So the funny part about it is I did have an amazing experience in New York because I went and seen this premiere for this new TV series called Fight Night. And it's about Atlanta. And so obviously, I'm biased. So that shit's dope.
Yeah.
I seen 2 episodes and it airs today. It premieres today with 3 episodes on Peacock. But that was yesterday. Today, on the way to the film Fuck You Money, what inspired this episode is it was a Black woman, which me personally, I rarely have experienced this with Black women and just women in general.
Right.
This is probably the rudest woman Black or white or Asian or whatever, that I've met, interacted in a workplace, and when somebody's supposed to be doing their job, probably at least in the last decade. I'm 40 years old, so that means since I was 30. And it's probably because I wasn't even conscious of rudeness the way that I am now.
Yeah.
But it was literally the last decade. She was just so rude. And not only her customer service was okay, but her body language, where she was smacking her lips, it's just certain things that you don't do if you're trying to be helpful, right? And it's not about, not being kind, not being gracious, none of those different things. Even if you got the red eye man commercial mouth, tone, like you just like red eye, you're like, you go here, but the smack your lips and to like point at, like, it's almost like I feel like somebody was about to start a fight. Like, just how it felt, right? So what that did was, though, it inspired this conversation today that's about communication within business.
Right.
Because I think that in our community with Black and brown people, we are so focused on making money. We're so focused on like trying to like build a business that communication in business directly impacts the environment that you're building for your company. It's your environment. It is your workplace. It's like when you're talking about communication in business, that means that you're building a culture within your company that says, this is how you communicate with one another. This is how you do not communicate with one another. And what it does is it pulls everybody into the same accountability bucket.
Yes.
To talk to one another, talk to each other in a kind way. Talk to each another with context. Talk to each other with the standpoint of like curiosity. So if you don't understand, the first thing you should say is like, hey, ask a question. should can you explain this to me because I don't understand? Versus people are just come like a bull in a glass in a china house, you know, and they're just bulling over things. They're
Right.
not asking and seeking curiosity, right? And so the one thing about this woman today was she didn't say, "Hey, usually when you come here, there's a barcode they give you. Um, did you get an email for that?" Right?
Yes. Do you have it?
Yeah, she was like, she didn't say, "Do you have an ID? What company you here for?" She was like, "ID company," and I'm like, ID and company. I think culture. Like I like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't good communication within business. Good communication while you're on the work in the workplace, right?
Right. Because she works there, so she knows protocol. She knows when people are coming in and out, what they should have. If someone doesn't have something, I can communicate to this person like, "Hey, do you need help? It looks like you need help." She didn't seem very helpful.
Mm-mm. Because at a certain point, you know, what I've learned by myself
Mm.
is removal, right? If I feel like it's okay, ma'am, I'll figure it out myself. I
Right.
just remove
Right.
myself from
Right.
it because what I'm not gonna do is be disrespectful to any woman. Definitely not gonna be disrespectful to a black woman.
Right.
So I'm like,
But she's bringing you an energy that could easily escalate if you engaged.
well, yeah, if you're immature, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying, or
exactly.
unhappy,
Right.
or looking to pick a fight, then
Right.
I ain't
Any of those
unhappy,
things, right?
immature, or looking to pick a fight. I'm looking to make some money. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, but it's very important for that conversation because it talks about this thought process of being relational in
Yep.
business and being like uh productive, being like results driven
Right.
in business, right?
Right.
And there's another word that is meant that's used. My executive coach says it all the time, but I don't
But you
forget what it
haven't quite.
means. You know what
Now,
I'm
do you feel like she was about the task?
saying? I think that her intentions was to be about the task.
Mhm.
But even when you are rude within the task, you don't get the task done because of people can be just confused and
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
would just like not do anything.
Yeah.
Right? Or the task will get done because they're so confused that they'll figure it out on their own without helping you.
Right.
So
This
a
is all
person can,
rooted in
yeah, yeah,
communication.
yeah, yeah. That's what I have learned that your business grows and you scale your business, the better your communication streamline is. Like you can make money, have a successful business that can make it longer than 3 years or 5 years. But when you start talking about scaling, when you start talking about infrastructure and enterprise and this shit, it's a communication thing that has to happen. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And if that ain't the case, then you kind of like fucked up. So what I've learned and what I've been experiencing just in business over the last past like three months is that people take tones,
Mhm.
people create tones for words
Yeah.
in work specifically, and they do not understand that there is no tones with text messages, right? Um, y- Text like a person can say, if I just text you out of the blue, fuck, man, you're gonna read that like something is wrong. Like
Immediately. Immediately.
you're gonna pull whatever you are feeling or what you've experienced
Yep.
from that communication,
Yep.
right? And uh versus if we was in person and I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
You can be
Yeah.
like, oh, you must, what you
You lost
lost
your
something?
wallet?
You lost something?
Yeah.
You literally are gonna be able to pull more because you got a visual and an
Yeah.
audio experience.
100%. A combination.
Text is not like that.
No.
But people are so used to learning like that, they apply it like that
Immediately.
immediately. So you see me say, fuck, man. Both of y'all gonna be like, what do you lose?
Yeah.
Right? But if I say fuck, man, in a text message,
If you
you're gonna be
drop that
like,
in the FYM group chat, Vanessa gonna think what she think. I'm gonna think what I
right.
think. Like,
Because we want, as
yeah,
humans, we want to learn through audio and video,
we do.
visual. We
We do.
want to learn that. Even if you don't think that that's your best way, we want to learn. And the reason why we want to is because that's how we get all our pleasure. We get our
Uh-oh.
pleasure from entertainment, going out, seeing something, hearing something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we
It's a
talk about
sensation.
from a graphic perspective, you talk about porn, strip clubs.
Yep.
We go out, we can see something, feel something, experience something.
Yeah.
We want to be able to communicate with those two sensors being on. So when you read a text message, you know what a text message do not have? Audio.
Nope.
And the visual is so unenthused, uninspiring.
Right.
It's like reading.
Especially since text is like shorthand.
It's shorthand.
It's gonna be shorthand
eventually.
Yeah.
Let's not even get into shorthand. You start getting the shorthand communication. You know what? Another thing about communication in business, especially from a leadership perspective, because when you start a business, you're the leader.
Yeah.
No matter if it's 3 people in that goddamn business, you are the leader, right? So people talk in shorthand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you might have a leader that got an assistant and they talk in shorthand.
Mm-hmm.
That assistant is gonna be so used to talking in shorthand, they're gonna go talk in shorthand outside of that relationship in the workplace. And people are gonna be confused. Because I don't understand what this person is talking about. Right? Not because that person is not trying to communicate, they're used to talking in shorthand to their leader.
To their leader.
So, but the leader gotta say, hey, that is just for you and I. That's like our private handshake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you go out in the ecosystem, you gotta talk more details. You gotta talk more long form. Because people don't, in order to understand short form is a form of communication between a community of people, a close-knit community of people. So there's certain things I'll say to you that you'll understand that if I say to somebody in New York, they'll be like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's a short form texting is nothing but slang in language. Like short form texting, when people say, talk to you later, that's no different than me saying shouty.
Yeah.
In terms of like what it's meant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shouty is another way to address a person.
Yep.
TTL is another way to say talk to you later.
Right.
Whatever that TTTUL, whatever shit is, right? But I don't think that we as humans have understood that, wait a minute, I read text messages with the tone that I prefer to experience.
Yeah.
Right?
It's gonna make me comfortable. So if it makes me uncomfortable, I have decided that.
You gotta understand. When I say that I prefer to experience, right? If you read a text message and you think somebody rude through a text message, that means you prefer that.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if they're rude.
No, you haven't heard anything.
Let me repeat that. If you read somebody's text message and you feel offended, that means that you walk around preferring to be offended. Because that person, you don't know what that person is thinking.
No.
You don't know what that person is wearing. You don't know none of that.
Their state of mind.
So you put that in business, right? You put that in business and a person says, you was supposed to be here at 5:30, but it's 5:38. Can you give me an ETA? And you're like, oh my God, like they're so pushy. They're so pushy.
Yeah.
That's because you prefer to experience that energy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A person don't go in the bank, right? Preferring to be broke. They go in the bank because they're like, I have some money in here. So they don't go in there and the teller's like, write down your account, right?
Yeah.
And you write down your account information, you slide it over, and the account and the teller read the account information is like, just reading the account information. Oh, that person is broke.
Yeah, right.
They ain't put the numbers in. They just reading the text, your address, your name, your account number, how much money you want to deposit, and they're reading it like, oh, that person is broke. They haven't asked, they haven't put information into the system. They just read it and say, oh, that person broke.
Right.
That is how we as humans live our lives now that we have this digital communication aspect of it.
Okay, how do you build a communication within your culture, your business culture?
The first thing that we did, and it's getting better and better, is that there is a communication protocol that basically says that if anybody that you're working with reaches out to you with a question, you're obligated by our company policies to respond within a business day. Right?
Yeah.
If that request is super urgent, it put the onus on the person with the request to call you because now it's an urgent request.
Right.
Right? But if they don't give you a set deadline in their communication, by default, you got to respond within by the next business day. So it gives you a 24-hour period to like catch it, get the email, see it, and respond.
That is really smart. Now, how long has that been implemented?
About 8-9 months. Motherfucker ain't been using it. I mean, until like recently, people been more because now, as you grow a business, the more people you hire, the more you got to be stern with policies, because policies remove emotions.
Policies remove emotions.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I love that.
Yeah, policy removes emotion. That's something that our business executive coach told us when we were going through like these leadership on boards and trying to become better executives and things of that nature. And basically, like, if the policy states when somebody from your team sends you an email or WhatsApp, anything that's a work communication method,
Yeah, right.
It's you're obligated. Part of your job,
part of your
is to respond within the business day. You don't respond within the business day and somebody address you on it, like you can't be emotional about it.
No,
I mean, you can be, but the policy has nothing to do with emotion. Policy is about doing and like following instructions, all of those different things. You know what I'm saying?
Because you're already in the wrong because you didn't respond within that business day.
Well, like being in the wrong is not the best. Not the best word to use.
That's not the best language.
Yeah, the best language would say you're just out of protocol. You know what I'm saying? You're not following the policy, right? So you're not following the policy sounds better than being wrong, because a person can be like, okay, let me follow the policy. Sometimes wrong feels um like what's like just I don't know if it's the word I'm looking for. It's like absolute. It's like it's just like period. Like you're wrong. It's like and sometimes people really struggle with the concept of like being wrong.
See, I like how this is all about communication, right?
Yeah.
Because even the way I verbalized that, it wasn't necessarily the right word, but it's like the first thing that came to mind. Because I think that's what I'm kind of used to. Like, if you don't do something properly, you're just in the wrong. You're in the wrong. But that's probably not the best way of communicating with your team.
Yeah. So policies help with giving you scale. It gives you it puts behaviors on scales. So when a person is out of they're not operating within policy protocol or the company policies, it can be like a simple fix. A person can know how to fix that by just going to the policies, like, oh, this is the policy. But if you just like you're wrong, you create more work on yourself as a leader and as a company, because now you got to explain how that was wrong. With a policy, it's like this, right? Policy, if you need help, the team member has to respond to you in 24 hours. If it is urgent, you have to call them and let them know that it's urgent. So it gives you like a scale of like protocol that you can abide by. Versus like if when a person responds to you and you don't get back to them, you're wrong. They didn't tell you how much time you have to get back to them. They didn't speak towards like conventional circumstances or circumstances that you can control. They didn't speak towards urgency. But the policy covered all of that in like 3 lines, versus being like, you're wrong, because now I got to explain why you're wrong. And that takes time away from me doing my job. And now, I'm going to get backed up because that might turn into an hour-long conversation. And you want to avoid hour-long conversations at work with team members. You don't want to have hour-long conversations. Or you work 8 hours a day. You don't want to have hour-long conversations. You don't even want your bosses to know that you have an hour-long conversation, because it's like, well, what are you doing? But policies will eliminate all of that, because because it's not a right or wrong thing. It's like, are you in the policy?
Right.
Are you within the protocol?
Right.
It is a right or wrong thing at the underlying element of it, but from a interaction perspective, it's very black and white. It's hard to really combat that.
No, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And it keeps everybody on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
We're all on the same page. And I think that helps when it comes to business, because having, I think, I think the last job I had while I was working in a restaurant, they gave you a booklet with all the rules and protocols to read within the 2 weeks where you're doing your training. And it was like a decent sized thick book. And I now remember that very clearly because it's like the first thing you get with your uniform.
Right.
You get a book of policies.
Right.
This is how you do your job, and you're supposed to read it. They test you on it.
Right.
And not everything in that book is probably going to come up during your work experience, but a majority of your job is in that book.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
And I think that was extremely helpful for just like learning that gig. But when you started building your business, I guess policies wasn't like the first thing on your mind.
Hell no. I was trying not to get fired. Okay.
Yeah.
Like when I thought about it, and I talked about this through all our different executive coaching. Like, then I told the executive team, I was like, man, listen, I apologize if I've led this company astray on like protocol and procedures, because when you coming up out of the inner city or the hood or the country and you're trying to build a business, with me, my vision was I want to build a company that protects artists and that protects managers, because I don't want to get fired and I don't want the artist to be screwed, because if the artist gets screwed, then I get screwed, then I'm gonna get fired again. So I didn't think about mental health policies, behavior policies, sexual harassment policies.
Right.
I didn't think about payroll taxes. I didn't think about HR. I didn't think about assistance. Bro, I was just like, I'm trying to make some money, and I'm trying not to get fired while I'm doing it. And hopefully I can help somebody else make some money as well. That's what the company started for. I didn't think, oh, let's do lost kids. We gotta get an HR person. We gotta get, we gotta get income tax, state labor law pamphlets, and we gotta make sure we're paying our, payroll taxes. I wouldn't think about none of that shit, bro. I'm just thinking about, man, we gotta get some money and we can get hot and get this labor deal.
Yeah.
That's how it was when we first started, before the independent shit was even a real thing. You know what I'm saying? And this was so crazy. I was thinking about this the other day. The major label shit was so deep in like our ecosystem that I was sitting down and I was talking to Wintertime, me and him were talking, and I was like, bro, when you gonna come with some new music, bro? Like, you ain't released music so long. I started the independent shit with you, right? Then it hit me. I was like, damn, I was doing the independent shit with Wintertime. We was making money, and I still was telling Brent, we're gonna get hot. And then we're gonna go to a record label.
Ain't that crazy?
That's how deep the major label shit was. I was doing Wintertime. Wintertime was hot before Brent.
He was. And it was working, right? Like, you was actively
it was working. We was making money. That's how I was funding some of the shit. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough money. That's how I was funding some of the shit when Brent first started. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. That's how embedded taking your art to a major label was for me personally. You know what I'm saying? At that time, we're talking about the summer of 2016. You know what I'm saying? So, but that just jumped up on me. But yeah, when I was starting these things, I was just thinking about making money and like trying to get hot so we can go make some more money. And I want to be invested into the product so that you just can't fire me, because that's what happens when you don't have smart business set up.
But there's two things I want to touch on. One, having two artists, and one is starting to make money, and another one's making music, right? So you're seeing the music is being made, and you're thinking about what to do with the artist, and you're not able to see that, like, oh, what's going on with Wintertime, we're gonna apply to Brain. Like, you're not really seeing that yet. Mostly because it was not the system, right? That wasn't the ecosystem you were in, where everyone was like, yo, you see that success you're having with Wintertime, just apply that. Like, you're not thinking about applying that to some other artists.
Right.
But even when it comes to now building businesses, are you thinking about ways you can apply your policies to other things that you're working on?
Yes, The biggest policy that I would think to apply to everybody business that I work on is SOPs.
SOPs.
And that is standard operation policies. That basically generalizes all of your protocol. So that means that this is the template for budgets. This is the template for invoices. This is the template for communication on email. This is the template for your email signature. It just standardizes everything that makes everybody be on the same page and nobody like outliers or whatever the case might be, right? And I think that makes it so that the complex stuff at work is complex. You don't need the simple shit to be complex too.
That's a bar.
You know what I'm saying? Like the complex shit is gonna be complex. It's a business.
Yeah.
There's so many different things. I get thrown things so much because of being in business. Like literally, I get thrown, and I'm like, well, no, we'll see how this goes. I don't know if this gonna work,
Right.
but it's a consistent thing. And so you gotta make sure you're direct, make sure a lot of these things, kind of add in, but like overall with new businesses, like, how do we create standard operational agreements, procedures and agreements so that people just know the standard that the company have, the ecosystem has, you know what I'm saying?
And you can kind of like, that becomes your foundation.
Yeah.
Like you can sit on that, you can live on that. And then to your point about just the complex things, it allows you to find those things out, figure out ways to work those complex things out because you have the simple things already figured out.
Right.
I mean, man, this just sounds like your growth as an executive over the years. What do you feel like has been a major part of that growth?
I can speak, especially towards the last like 6 months, is language.
Yeah.
I never really understood how important it was to be able to the more the longer your email is, or the longer your text message is, the more you have to focus on language. The reason why I didn't realize how important it was over the years, because I've always had short form answers.
You have.
Right? So it was always, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. No, I don't think that's cool. Yes, let's go. Like, it's always been short form in the response. So when I have to give somebody an explanation on why I don't want to do something, and that's because of their request, or that's because of the nature of the business, or how much money is in place, or they gotta explain it to somebody else. Now I'm like reading what people say. I'm like, okay, this doesn't sound like something that makes sense to me, but I'm not gonna read it like it doesn't make sense. I'm gonna do what they ask, and then when we get in front of one another, I'm gonna see if I can find the right language to understand exactly what they're trying to create, like what they're trying to say to me, right? And so what has happened is that a lot of my conversations have gotten shorter because in the past I would cut people off because they wouldn't having the right language. That's what it was. I'm learning that now.
Yeah.
First I was like, I'm cutting them off because they talk too much. And a lot of that was true, but it wasn't me articulating it so that for me to be like, hey, I want to preface this by saying, we got 3 minutes. I'm gonna speak for a minute, then I'm gonna pass it over to you. You speak for a minute, right? That's communication, and that's using the right language, because we have something that we have to achieve. We're on a time frame. You prime everybody's mind doing that, right? Versus you have 10 minutes to speak. You speak for 7 minutes, but then when the other person starts speaking, they get 2 minutes. You're like, wait, we got to go to the next subject.
Yeah.
You see how different that feels?
Yeah.
That's all language and communication.
They're gonna feel offended.
Yeah, they're gonna feel like, oh, you can talk all this time, but you're gonna cut it off. But if you preface it like, hey team, we got 30 minutes today. This is gonna be our agenda. This particular topic, give me 1 more minute, and then I want to give you a minute. You raise your hand. Like, there's more organization when you got language. Now people can get things, people can talk and express themselves concise without feeling like they're being rushed, and meetings don't last. Don't go over. So
and everyone's still on the same page.
Yeah, and everyone's still on the same page. So I would be like, no. Last year I was like, no. Everybody would be confused, even though it was a straight answer. It wasn't like it was you asked the question, I said no. But people sometimes want to basically drive to understand. That's the curiosity that we all have.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, well, why though? Why no? Now, some of the times them asking why, they shouldn't be asking why to their bosses or their leaders, right? But if there's not clear boundaries and settings and language, then you find yourself being those different things, right? So if somebody asks a budget question, you say, no, we're already over budget for this quarter. They're like, they know exactly what to tell the person that probably asked them, or if somebody asked them, they know exactly what to say. But if you just say no, then they're like, yeah, they said no. And the person said, why they say no?
Exactly.
Like, well, I don't really know.
Alright.
Now that communication that was simple for me becomes complex as people have to pass it.
Right.
That's where language takes place.
I love that. Yeah.
When you say no, we're already over budget for this particular thing. They can say, okay, no, we already over budget this particular thing. The other person can say, dang, that sucks. We can't do it. We already over budget for whatever that is.
Yeah.
That can get down to about 4 people.
Yeah.
But it's still gonna have some kind of like staying power.
Yeah.
They said it might go from me saying no, we're over budget for that specific thing.
Yep.
That now is gonna go to the next person. They're gonna be like, no, we're over budget for video creation.
Yep.
Then the third person gonna be like, hey, they said that we can't do this because we're over budget.
Yep.
Then the fourth person gonna be like, man, we over budget, so we gotta find another way on doing this.
Exactly.
But nobody asked why we was over budget.
Exactly.
They know what over budget means.
Yeah.
Right? They know that they're trying to achieve something. They probably can see how much it cost already. So if they know it costs $5,000, they're like, hey, we this didn't get approved because we're over budget already. Somebody along that 3 line is gonna have the budget, right? And that's the job of like the standard operation procedures. There's a budget already in a basic template that's already been put in place. So now we know exactly what that number is, and the person that could approve it to go over that number, they just said no because we're already over budget. When you say no, that no transitions to so many different questions that need to be asked.
How do you say no?
4, 5 people down the road is not, he said no.
That nigga always saying no.
It's a no, but he didn't give us no explanation. Like, was there any solution? Like, people still will have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing example, especially because from the verbiage of understanding what over budget means, you don't need a lot of context to know over budget.
Nah.
But a no can just start to feel like, well, like you said, it creates a question, well, why? Why was there a no? And then like you said, as it travels down, that no kind of becomes something else.
Yep.
But over budget, you can do it in 12 different languages. It's not.
But we ain't got it, baby.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm tapped.
Especially like for this quarter, so now I know, like, all right, this quarter, he ain't got it.
We can try again next quarter.
You know what I'm saying? Or someone's gonna be like, well, we can do it for 1,200. You know what I'm saying? We don't got the 5,000.
Yep.
So now you're looking for new solutions. Cause you know, and again, it's not about knowing why, but there's an understanding of why that no happened.
Yeah. And when somebody just simply just says no, it's hard for you to even think about a new solution. Cause it's just like wrong.
Yeah.
It's so matter of fact and like, they said no. They didn't say no, but if you bring me some more ideas, maybe we can get it approved at a lower cost.
Yeah.
Clear. It takes a little bit more work.
Yeah.
But at least it saves you time.
Yeah.
And it gives your team directives on if they truly want this to happen. You know?
I feel like, man, prior to your development as a communicator, do you feel like communication was easy for you, like, when you were starting off, as far as just, like, articulating what you wanted or how you wanted to express yourself? Do you feel like that part was easy and you developed that, or were you going into this kinda like, "Well, man, I didn't really know how to communicate. I was just saying what was off the top of my head."
Nah, my communication was more action,
Mhm,
right? So somebody want to do something, I'm like, don't worry about it. I can show you,
mhm,
right? But being able to really sit down and clearly articulate why something makes sense, why something don't make sense. For example, recently we had a client who they had to be held accountable for some of the things that they saw, but they didn't say, "Oh, I don't like this,"
mhm,
or "Can we change this photo?" or whatever the case might be, right? And so I sent the email out with Rue. We talked about it. But on the email, I had all of the team members that participate within that world for that client, right?
mhm,
And I specifically said, our team have to be accountable, including myself, for these different things, right? But then I pointed it and I specifically called the artist's name and said, you're gonna have to be accountable for being a business person. And as a business person, your job is to make sure you review the things and how you want to look. These mean that if you see something that's been there for 3 months or 2 months and you don't address it, that's your fault because the information is there for you because that's a part of your job.
mm,
Quality control is a part of your job. So I ended up speaking to the executive later. And it was like, I just don't feel like our team did anything wrong. We wasn't accountable. Or like they did all that stuff wrong. I said, let me walk you through why I said what I said and why I made sure that email was very gentle. The PR that we hired, they made a mistake. And that mistake made the artist feel like that their business is not being valued.
mhm,
Who, who fault is that? The artist didn't hire the person.
right,
We have to be responsible for the people that we hired. That's the accountability.
mhm,
Immediately the executive was like, I feel you.
yeah,
It wasn't about our accountability was not about the artist not being a better business person. Our accountability is we hired somebody that
mhm,
came in and they fumbled the ball on
yep,
our clock.
mhm,
Who fault is that?
yeah,
And so then it made it be like, you know what? I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, I could have lined out all of the accountability that everybody
everybody,
did,
yeah,
but I didn't. I just said, moving forward, these are what we need to do. If you want to move this, if you want to change this, client, it's your responsibility to send an email,
yeah,
tell us why you're changing it,
yep,
what time you changed it,
yep,
so that we can be aware just in case you're doing something that's going to disrupt the business. And
mhm,
somebody can flag you, say, hey, can you please not touch that one because we got the different partners that's going to pick something from those photos,
yep,
right? And now they can say, oh, okay, I understand. It forces everybody to communicate to one another, right?
yeah,
But everybody's accountable because that client was unhappy with a photo
yeah,
that we allowed the PR team to put out. We didn't tell them to do it. The PR team did not get it approved.
right,
So they didn't do their job.
right,
But it still doesn't mean that we're not accountable to it.
because we hired
Cause we hired them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That was the first snowball that trickled down. So, but I love the way that you were able to kinda, like, read the experience and be able to articulate yourself in a way that made everyone feel like they understood what was
Yeah.
going on.
Cause that could have turned into an argument real fast.
Yeah,
Cause if I'd have not been able to have the right language, that could have turned into an argument.
yeah,
And it didn't turn into an argument because I was very intentional in the reasoning on how I wrote the email, the words I used,
yeah,
the language I used, all of those different things. You know what I do now? I use Chat GPT to write my email.
yeah,
I'll literally write the email out that I want to say, and I'll tell Chat GPT, can you write this email in a loving and compassionate way? And then it will write the email. and I would get it and copy and paste it.
Do you feel like it still sounds like you though? The email?
Yeah, it still sounds like me. It sounds like a more professional version of me, but I don't really care about that. I care more so about the delivery based on the words, because I know the words don't talk, but there's a difference between saying my unwavering dedication to this topic versus I'm dedicated to this topic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The more words that you use as descriptive words starts to tell a story about how you feel about something. Right? So if you say the work that our team puts in is so important that it's going to be very impactful to the people that live in this world because of we're making art. But with that being said, that responsibility holds a lot of weight with accountability. People can read that story and be like, okay, and then it puts it in perspective. It's like there's a lot of weight on making people feel good or bad. And we have an accountability for that. You know, we're accountable to that type of management of art.
Like that lady earlier, she was not trying to make you feel good.
No. She's not even trying to make herself feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that was outside of the policy that they hired her with under.
I mean, a lot of companies don't have policies like that.
But I feel like you have a baseline customer service.
You do.
Right? Like a very baseline. If you're at work and you have customers coming in, you probably shouldn't be rolling your neck, smacking your lips. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things you just should not be
doing. She acting like
doing.
she's at a fair reunion.
You know what I'm saying? And she mad at you. But man, I think it's super dope to hear the way you've been able to progress. Because I remember very early on we had a conversation where you was telling me how when you first met Jane, you had a deck for culture that she did not understand.
Nobody understood that deck.
No one understood the deck, right? And I'm pretty sure it was the language that you was trying to express, like these ideas you were trying to express, you probably didn't have.
It wasn't the language. The language was very clear. It was just so many ideas crammed together that it was like, okay, so what is this again? What is that again? It wasn't organized. Like the person that put the deck together for me, they just did exactly what I said. And exactly what I said was crammed up, and it was like, what is the hell what are you trying to say? Are you like doing all of these things at the same time? Like how is this dealing with this? How does it relate to music? It was a lot of moving pieces on it.
But that's where you start, you know? You started with a lot of ideas. But look where you arrived at.
Yeah, I mean, you're still building on it, but you know, the thought process on all of it is you want to. So right now I have executive coaching that I do, and I do media training. Right? And when I first got suggested to do media training, I was kind of offended. I wasn't offended because they wanted me to do media training. I was offended on why it came up, because I was doing a speech on a panel, and the panelists talked to the PR, and I guess they felt I need media training, but I'm just like, I was thinking about the panelists that was hosting the conversation when we did our first thing. I was like, but you were late to the meeting. You're late to the meeting. You didn't really have no preparation. Wasn't no agenda. So we're just freely talking and trying to get a good feel for what the conversation is going to be, thinking that you're going to come back with like, okay, based on our first conversation, here is how this should run. These are the different topics, right? So I was offended that I'm like, this person don't even feel like they can even operate this type of high level conversation, right?
To tell me
as a moderator. But
media training,
I still did media training because, like I said, I'm not opposed to learning. Like that's to me that just sounds stupid. But doing the media training, I learned that media training is more so around what do you want to tell the media, not how do you posture, not how do you talk. It's like what is the message that you want to get around. So I've been using media training as a way to get better at what I want to communicate to anybody. No matter if it's in my personal life, my relationship, and business. getting better at how I want to communicate to a person in real time. Not to speak on camera. Obviously, we do fuck you money, but like that wasn't the reason on it. You know, the reason was like for public speaking purposes. But the reason why I keep doing it weekly is because I want to be very clear when I'm talking to people about what we need to be achieving, how we need to be achieving. I want to use words to disarm people into being frustrated or being, like feeling like they're not being, seen or accounted for. Even if I'm a bit frustrated, I'm still gonna communicate how I communicate. But I'm learning that even through frustration, you still can communicate in a way where a person don't feel like they are a complete failure. And I'm still getting better at it. It ain't like I perfected it yet, but it's a real thing. And it drives your business man, it drives your business in a way that Black people never gonna know that. Like that's the secret part of like this stuff where like she told me, she was like, I've been looking at your podcast, you should work on cursing less. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I understood what she meant because I don't curse. I didn't curse when I spoke at Forbes. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I use it it's a freedom thing, but it's also like it's almost like a punchline thing from communication.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I understood what she meant though, because she was just like, as you elevate, that will cause people to be like, he might not be ready for this level of a conversation or this level of opportunity. So I understood what she meant. I was like, no, I get it.
I mean, it's a big F word in the, show title. But I think before we get out of here, when I first started writing, very early on, I did not use cuss words in my writing. And I thought that was just too, I always thought cuss words was something that people kind of lean on to express certain ideas, but I always felt like it it cuts through in a way that I didn't want to.
Right.
I was trying to make sure that the language that I was using was going to be respected.
Right.
Sometimes I feel like when you start cussing, even like in writing, it just feels like people can like try to treat you like you're less than.
Yep.
And I knew very early on that I didn't want that in my writing, but I think it's very interesting when you think about it in your language, the way you speak on camera and things of that nature, that still matters as well.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that. As a writer, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I ain't no fucking writer.
No,
right?
yeah.
When I first started, right? As I'm growing more, and I ain't never think about being a fucking speaker either.
Yeah.
But as I'm growing more, I'm learning that in that world, being able to be yourself while still blend and when to do it, it's literally a punchline.
Yeah.
It's not something that you live and die on. Like you got to be able to articulate yourself in front of crowds of people about your ideas, your perspective, why you believe in this, why you don't believe in this. And it got to be clear enough and elementary enough that you just know everybody in the audience. And you got to know your audience, right? So if you're writing, you're like, I want my writing to be respected. That means that you know what audience you want to kind of buy into what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, this was a really great talk. This one flew by, honestly, Ty.
Oh yeah, this one did.
I gotta find a FU Money episode to tell you about the Earn Your Leisure Fest, the Invest Fest.
Okay,
Because I saw 50 Cent speak.
Yeah.
And I thought
Man, I
that
love
was
50 Cent.
like,
I seen this $1 Million Worth of Game interview recently too.
oh, he's been on a press run.
yeah.
He's been running around. But I seeing him on stage without the music, just as a speaker, I learned a lot about why 50 Cent is
50 Cent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, again, usually you think a rapper, you only see them rapping. You don't really think about them, who they are when they sit down and speak.
Right.
And I was like, I learned so much from that conversation. I think, we can find a way to work into an episode because I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'm with all of that.
All right. Well, if you've been watching this, thank you for viewing another episode of FYM. Please share, like, subscribe, and we're all gonna work to be better communicators.
Yep.
Because it's gonna help grow our businesses.
1000%.
And I think there's a lot of wellness connected to being good communicators. It sounds
1000%.
so healthy having a company that knows the language of their culture.
Having a life that knows the language of their well-being, their existence.
Yes,
you know what I'm
sir.
saying? Like, when you start thinking about scripture, you start thinking about, like, the books that you read that uplift you, right? They do something to you because they're telling a story through the words. The story is it's non-existence. You know what I'm saying? Words give you the language to communicate a story, right? Your imagination gives you the positive or the negative tone.
Straight like that.
Straight like that. Peace.
Oh, yeah.